to Las Vegas on posting in December '64.
So you spent time actually posted in Pittsburgh. It wasn't, were you there for, you just went through?
We had a 15 days break in December.
Okay.
So we went to the AAA agent and we said we want to go from San Antonio to Las Vegas via St. Louis, via Louisiana, via Tampa, Miami, Richmond, Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, and Oklahoma and all that. They said, where do you want to go? No, San Antonio is here. We said, we want to tour around.
You picked the good cities.
So in 15 days, I mean, so 11 days we did 6,600 miles, but we saw all these places, New York, Chicago.
Did you fly from place to place, or did you drive?
We drove. Five young piled upstairs.
That's a lot of territory to cover. That would have been a lot to fly around.
My younger brother, I motivated him to come to USA. He came in '69, and I said, you're going at an age where within the first 1 or 2 years you're going to be called for draft. Don't get worried. You join it. It'll be a good experience. So he joined the army. He was working with the helicopter unit as a mechanic.
Yes.
Mechanical engineer. So he was working as a mechanic. He served for 1.5 years in uniform with the army, in the U.S. Army, and he retired. Thereafter, he has been working with in a federal job for all his life. He's still in the president.
For the change in the regulations to allow Sikh Americans with turbans to serve, what is the legislative procedure? Is it through the Congress or Senate?
Well, it would be
something will be passed, moved on to President, and
these are not. It's not so much legislation as it would be the rules by the Department of Defense and what they would articulate. And we were talking. I've gone through this issue in a parallel way back at home, where I am from in the Philadelphia region, because we have Sikh Americans and Amish Americans who serve on volunteer fire departments and emergency services groups. And when you have state regulations about the size of a face mask and other kinds of things fitting, we would not necessarily have legislation, but we would work with the Department of Defense, or in this particular case, the state agency, to get the kind of testimony in which you say that you need to make a rule that enables these kinds of volunteers or those in the military service to be able to do this, that we can accommodate the mask and the other the other equipment, and it will fulfill its safety version, but still respecting the historic connection that you have with the facial hair and your turban and other kinds of things.
Well, we're going to have to leave in about...
Well, thank you so much. I've had the opportunity to informally and speak with many of you today. Welcome once again to Capitol Hill. I can't tell you how important it is that we continue to communicate with my colleagues across Capitol Hill about the tremendous contributions of the Sikh community, the Sikh Americans who are raising families here in the United States. Today we had an opportunity to talk about one of the particular issues related to what I would consider to be the discrimination because of your following your religious practices and the ability then to be able to do certain kinds of service, certainly in the Defense Department, and I have experienced this issue back at home when we were dealing with people who want to be community volunteers for things like fire departments or emergency services. And we have a situation where we've got great family people wanting to contribute to the community and we're creating an impediment to that. So that's another example of the important relationship we have to try to break down those barriers and to continue to assure that we can all participate in the great melting pot that is the United States. Thanks so much for being here. Unfortunately, we've got a Speaker Ryan. I'm already late for the meeting over in Capitol Hill. Also, I'm on my way over, but it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for
Bit of thanks to you and your office. You know, if you go to California,
I know, the best. Thank you.
That's terrific.
Thanks. Okay, we'll forget that.
Let's take nice to meet you. Right. Thank you.
Okay. Over to Harvey.
Thank you, Congressman. We are extremely enjoying our fortunate Congressman Jeremy very soon. I really want to thank you for all being here. Many of you were here earlier for the briefing we had on Sikh serving the armed services. We had a wonderful group of people. Obviously, our Air Commander is here this evening, Goparai. He'll be speaking as our main chief of guest tonight. We're also really dedicating this tonight's meeting to our youth. And we have all our students as youth, as you may have seen on the program, and we're excited about that. And to make sure that as we move forward, they're the ones who are going to be working hard in Capitol Hill. They'll be our leadership in the future to come. So before we start that, Congressman Khan, guys, get some refreshments. I know you guys need to be getting home. You guys put a long day in, so don't worry about us. Get some food, and we'll come right back when Congressman comes back.
For some time, for Speaker Ryan to allow us to vote on some gun safety legislation. And we've never been able to do that, not in committee and certainly not on the floor of the House. And I think we only need to look at what happens to the Sikh community in Wisconsin or in Sacramento with a gentleman just out for a walk and gunned down. And so the Democrats are saying enough. We've stopped the business of the House. We are engaged in civil disobedience. We are breaking the rules of the House of Representatives and simply saying, Speaker Ryan, give us a vote. Give us an opportunity to vote on a universal background check so that a criminal cannot go to a gun show and buy an assault rifle. Give us a vote so that a mentally ill individual cannot go from California to Nevada and buy any number of weapons that he would want at a gun show there. Give us a vote so that we can eliminate and stop the insanity of a person who is on a terrorist watch list and can't fly, but can go out and buy a gun. More than 2,000 individuals have been able to do that. They're on a terrorist watch list, they can't fly, but 2,000 have been able to buy a gun. Now that's insanity. And so what we are doing is protesting. We simply sat down and said, Mr. Speaker, the normal business of the House isn't going to continue. We demand a vote. We're the minority, we understand that. But we also understand that we represent 750,000 people, each one of us, and that together we represent about 45% of the American population. And these are gun safety legislation. Would it have stopped the terrible massacre that happened in Wisconsin at the Blue Ball? Maybe. We don't know. But we do know that there are things that we could do that would reduce the extraordinary violence here in America. 32,000 people killed last year by guns. 32,000. And my first experience at this was in 1989. I was a state senator. I was in my office in January of 1989. Got a phone call from my district, and then in a frantic voice, Gladys said, "They're dead. I can't believe it, they're dead." 5 Vietnamese refugee children and another 20 plus were gunned down on a school ground in Stockton, California. That eventually led to the passage of the first assault weapons ban in the United States. I authored that bill. So there are things that we can do. Unfortunately, the horror movie just keeps rolling on. And we've seen this over and over again. Columbine, Aurora, Wisconsin, Orlando, Oregon, San Bernardino. So, enough. We're probably going to spend the night sitting on the floor, sleeping on the floor, whatever. And Speaker Ryan, give us a vote. And I think it'll make a difference to this community too. I think this risk because you wear turbans. I like your green turban, by the way. It's quite an outfit. And you're marked in your community and on the street. People look at you and say, it doesn't belong. And you seem to like it. Your community has suffered from it. We'll see. I think we're going to make a difference. It's been maybe forever, over the 200 plus years of this nation that members of Congress simply sat down and said, we're not moving until we get a vote. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go back and occupy my space on the floor. Thank you so very much for the pleasure of working with you and seeking solutions to the multiple problems that face us. Thank you.
Congressman, because of you, we had a briefing today. Congressman is on the Armed Services Committee. Today we had a briefing on Sikhs to be allowed to serve in the armed forces. With the Congressman today is Air Commander for the Indian Air Force, retired 33 years in service, and Sikh Congressional who served in and also actually flew with the United States Air Force on a lot of the training back in '64 and '96 where he gave testimony as a pilot, all the things that is visible and necessary to be pilot. Along with him is also Sikh Congressional, who enlisted in the armed service in the United States back in 1977, and at that time is now the old service and a beard, and he does so today. So, Congressman, because of you, we have a wonderful briefing today. We had several from the UK government, both as well as speak during the armed forces. So thank you for doing that, and yes, it is quite historical. Between our cities, what happened was some of the members who here from Philadelphia, that they gave us some tickets to go to the house store, and right after the airport said, "Here you are, 4 tickets," and they were really sick. So I gave it to them, and then I heard this, how about the fire going up? And I told them that they were impressed, because they were going to get it, and they waited 2 hours to get inside, and said, "John Berman was on the floor," and I can see why your voice is not as strong as all of theirs. He was screaming on the floor for the and he said, "Really?" I said, "Wow, you haven't seen a historical day in our time there." But they waited 2 hours to get in, and they were in the gallery, and they were able to launch it for all that you've done. And it's a small memento. The thing that the ears do the listening, and you guys be active in eating, that's all. Just, but we want to have some wonderful speakers tonight. Our special guest, as Congressman Garamendi was here speaking, we did have a briefing on Sikhs serving in the armed services. And one of the our special guest speakers tonight is Sikh Boparai. And as he mentioned, he served 33 years in the Indian Air Force, at the end retiring as safety director for the whole Air Force. And his job was to make sure that everybody was safe and everything that was done right. So it is a great honor to have Mr. Boparai. And if you can give us a few of your things that you told us in the morning as well. But so, Mr. Boparai, Air Commander, Mr. Boparai, for 3 minutes, please, and we'll kind of keep it on time. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege and honor to be here with this august audience. We had a session in the morning where I had given a fairly detailed account of my career as a fighter pilot. I got commissioned in the Indian Air Force as a fighter pilot on 28th October 1963. This was about a year and a half or so after Chinese aggression, and the Air Force was expanding in a big way. The American government was giving us a lot of aid in the form of the very huge, very long-range radars, which was established in various places in India for air defense purposes. And they simultaneously offered to train some of the younger pilots on F-86s and T-33s to build up the experience. So they was an advanced gunnery course for which there were batches of about 6 to 8 people coming at a time. And the duration of the course was about 7 months. So I had an opportunity to stand up in America with the United States Air Force at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, then Randolph Air Force Base, where I flew the T-33 T-Bird aircraft, and then after that I flew F-86s in Dallas Air Force Base, Las Vegas. In both these aircraft, after having used the British type oxygen mask, helmet, and the remaining flying clothing, I had the opportunity to use American full flying kit and flew day and night. There is a lot of gunnery, rockets, bombing, air-to-air firing for about 3.5 months in Las Vegas area at Dallas Air Force Base, and then went back. Once I got back to America, up to India, I was posted to a squadron which had French aircraft called Mystère 4A. So, having flown with British flying equipment, having flown with American flying equipment in USAF, I was now using French helmet, French mask, and French flying clothing. What I want to highlight is that I have looked the way I am looking now, with full beard. I never trimmed any hair, etc. And this is actually a sort of a very funny gimmick which has been created of oxygen leaking and this leaking and that leaking. It's based on lack of knowledge of the profession. From the time the flying started in the Second World War, there were doctors who were trained to look after the aviation medicine requirements. Some of the doctors flew themselves. So it is, there is an organization in Indian Air Force, there is an organization in American Air Force, there is an organization in every Air Force, which when the younger pilots come there, they do all sorts of measurements. They do a full medical test, including ECG, encephalograph, dental, this, that. It's about 1 week's medical checkup that they do. And a part of the task given to those doctors is to decide on what size of mask fits me, what size of helmet fits me, what size of flying boots, what size of G-suit. The whole equipment is tried out on each individual after taking the measurements and specified in a letter form, with that letter stays in your logbook. Wherever you go, when it comes to getting the equipment issued, it is issued as per those sizes which have been specified by the medical specialists. And there is no chance of any oxygen leaking or any of those fears that seem to be existing presently here. What's very surprising is that after 65 April, when I went back to India, I motivated my younger brother, who was an engineer, to migrate to India, to America. He came to America and I told him that you are going to be called up for serving in army under the draft policy. Don't hesitate. You'll only learn something, and please do that. So, in 1970, he got picked up for being with a helicopter unit as a mechanic, and he had a full beard, he had a full turban, and he was a part of the army unit for 1.5 years, and then given his citizenship immediately after leaving the service. He's been in a federal job all his life. He's still in a place called Fresno in California. So, where did this come about? That certainly the United States government or the defense forces have found that the Sikhs have a problem with the mask leaking. It's very difficult to understand as to how did that come about. Over the years now, every 2 years, the Indian Air Force squadrons, sometimes MiG-29, sometimes Su-30s, come here, sometimes Mirage 2000 come here. They have a regular exercise with the American Air Force, and in which there are any number of pilots, any number of Sikh pilots who are flying around, who are seen flying around, and yet this some sort of ban which started in 1981, based on what inputs one doesn't know, bars the Sikh personnel from joining the armed forces as long as they have a beard in the hair, because of some fears like mask would leak or you can't wear a helmet, things of that nature. Those are very ill-founded things, and I personally feel it's amounting to very serious discrimination, and this ban or this restriction needs to be definitely removed to give an opportunity and equality to the American-born citizens or who are already Americans here now. I don't see any reason as to why should they be denied this birthright of flying or being in the armed forces in uniform. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Inderjit Singh Goprai. I would like to have Dr. Amarjit Singh come say a few words about the caucus, and I think ever since of this caucus, he's been with us, and actually he's shepherded this caucus really well. So Dr. Amarjit Singh, 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll get the food ready for the dinner. And I see some empty places.
Brothers and sisters, today in the briefing which was initiated by Congressman Garmandi, Congressman Pete Moynihan, those who are co-chairs of American Sikh Congressional Caucus, this in itself is a proof that in the last 3 years, how the Sikh Caucus has moved all those obstacles which in the beginning when it was founded came in its way. It was said that if already India caucus exists, what's the need for the Sikh caucus? But now most of the congressmen, they also understand that how 30 million Sikh nation with its unique identity, which has contributed in the past 5.5 centuries to the welfare of humankind, and even in this great country, how Sikhs came 100 years ago, and from the fields in California to First World War, Second World War, joint action by American Army, and Sikhs in the Indian Army in Burma, which is presently called Myanmar, how it was a togetherness, and how the brave Sikhs in the British Army, and even in Canada, and I think this is an important thing that while in last month, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was here in Washington and in American University interacting with the students, he said that I have more members of parliament in Canada than Prime Minister Narendra Modi has in India. And today, Canada's Defense Minister Harjit Singh Sajjan is a bearded and baptized Sikh. That in itself is a proof, and I think this is a sorry state of affairs that this great country, which was founded on the basis of religious freedom, we know the history of pilgrims, that how the great founding fathers of this country, they dreamt of that what kind of ideal society, ideal system this country should be, and it is. For the 7 billion people on this planet, America is their dreamland. You go anywhere in the world, in the 200 plus countries around the globe, and say that you will get green card, whosoever is interested, and the whole 7 billion people will love to come to America for the reason that in the past 2-3 centuries, the success of this system, the democracy, the very freedom which we cherish. And I think this weakness which came somehow due to misunderstanding, due to ignorance, that Sikhs are not allowed to serve in United States Army with their full articles of faith. This needs to be corrected now. It's a beginning. This brief today was very positive, and we are hoping that in the coming months, years, the opinion makers, the decision makers, the lawmakers will understand that how 700,000 strong American Sikh community can contribute not only towards the defense of this country, but we being in almost 150 countries of the world, we 30 million people may not have a nation of our own, but already all around the world our gurdwaras, they are a place which are open for everybody. And it was great that while Indian Prime Minister was in Washington a couple of weeks ago, the Speaker of US House of Representatives, he told him that we need to learn from the kindness and forgiveness of the Sikh community. And he said, being from Wisconsin, I saw that how 3 years ago, after the massacre in that Gurdwara in which Sikhs were killed, that how generous they were and how forgiving they were. So I think while on one hand we have a great message through our humanitarian message by the Sikh Gurus, but at the same time we regret that we can't serve this great nation as Sikhs, as that is in our blood, that is our training, that is our programming, and as is the great saying of our Sikh Guru, Guru Hargobind Sahib, Shastar Gharib ki Rakhya, Jarwane ki Pakhya, meaning that weapons are for the protection of the downtrodden and for punishing the tyrant. And I think on these very principles, this great country has been founded. So I congratulate friends of American Sikh Congressional Caucus and American Sikh Congressional Caucus that they have told us, they have led us on the way which is good for our people as far as this great nation. Thank you very much.
We'll be right back shortly. They're about to get the dinner ready, so I know you guys are going to head on back there. And we have a few other, actually our main presenter of youth will be speaking at the dinner right after we get that served. So give us 5 more minutes, they'll be set. And I believe one of the congressmen is coming, so we'll be right back with you guys. It's a great pleasure having a Molak Singh come and speak to us. And I believe he is now going to be taking leadership on the Hill with us, making sure our youth gets engaged. So Molak Singh Kalam. Thank you, Molak.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'd like to start off by thanking everyone for being here. You know, a lot of people talk about issues or complain about issues facing our community or post about them on Facebook, but not a lot of people actually come out and do something about it. So thank you guys for taking initiative on that. Despite only making up a small percentage of Americans, Sikhs across this country have made our mark. We are doctors, lawyers, engineers, business owners, and much, much more. The one area we have not, however, cracked yet is politics. It's high time that we work with our elected officials on both sides of the aisle to push bipartisan legislation that will have a positive impact on our communities and America as a whole. We are energetic, passionate people with strong work ethic and even stronger values that align almost perfectly with American values. That being said, the next part of my speech is mostly geared towards the Sikh youth in the room, but hopefully everyone can take something away from it today. Anyone here who is interested in working with the caucus, another Sikh organization, or politics in any regard, I'm just here to let you know that you can do it. For most of us, our parents were the immigrant generation that was concerned with simply putting food on the table and paying the bills. A lot of us are past that point now, and if we want to call ourselves good Sikhs or good Americans, it's time that we do something for our community and for our country. We live next to the most powerful city in the world, and we should take advantage of that. If we want to see the changes in the Sikh community, especially among American Sikhs, we have all the resources necessary. It's time to stop talking and start doing. Other Sikhs all over the world have already set a good example. We've heard a few times today already about the 4 ministers in the Canadian cabinet who are Sikhs. And we have individuals in this room and throughout DC interning for organizations such as United Sikhs, SALDEF, the Sikh Coalition, and several other organizations. My degree is not even in politics or law. I'm not interested in working in this field full-time currently, but even I have been able to do my part and volunteer. So that's why I highly encourage everybody else to do so as well. Regardless of what you're doing as a profession, I think coming here and volunteering some time and putting in the effort means a lot, and it definitely helps. And for that, I would like to thank my parents for allowing me, to explore my interests rather than forcing me into a single career path. And in fact, I think all of our parents need to be thanked for working so hard and laying the groundwork for us to pursue things that we're interested in. So we're not forced into stereotypical jobs, only being engineers, only doctors, and focusing on those few career paths. So thank you for that. Working with the Sikh American Congressional Caucus is the best way I know to help American Sikhs prosper, and I encourage everyone to get involved. We're always looking for more help, people to help in any capacity, so please feel free to talk to me afterwards, talk to Harpreet's uncle, anyone else who's involved. We definitely want more youth involvement, and this is our country, this is our capital, and most importantly, this is our time. Let's step up and let's be involved in influencing the decisions and influencing the decision makers that are affecting our future. Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Moloch. So all of our speakers tonight are from one university or another. University of Virginia, Moloch, right? University of Virginia? Yes. So our next speaker is Jorawar Singh. Jorawar's actually been also working on us with the Hill, and actually he's very much politically motivated by his father, which is good, because like Moloch said, that some of us are always pushed into engineers and doctors. So there's a proud father, Baksheer Singh, over there. Not that you don't appreciate working what you're doing. So Jorawar Singh.
I want to start off by saying thank you all for coming. It means a lot. I know nobody wants to work past 5 o'clock and everybody wants to get home. It's truly an honor to be here today. And what the American Sikh Caucus has done, where we started about 3 years ago, and now we're over 50 members strong. I think it's very important that, like what Moloch talked about earlier, was we've always placed a very big emphasis on becoming doctors, lawyers, and we have, I think, lacked in the field of politics. There's many Sikh values that are shared by American values. One main belief that we commonly share is that we believe that by being together, we're stronger than going as alone. That going hand in hand, one can have more impact than doing it alone. This country was built off having a fair chance, and I think that we a lot of times look at what laws are being passed and why they haven't been, if they've been passed in a certain way, or if they're if they're not looking out for the greater good. And I think a big part of that is that we haven't represented ourselves in the political field as to where the legislature actually gets passed. I currently just finished internship at the State Department, and I realized that much of what we've done this past, we've been here over 100 years now, that we have seriously lacked in this field. And I encourage any youth to try, if it's not politics, but going out to whether it's Department of Interior, Department of State, Department of Justice, but getting involved in the U.S. government is, I think, crucial to helping us become a part of the fabric that has made America so great. But thank you again.
Thank you, Jorawar. Yes, Jorawar mentioned that he interned at the State Department, but then he also told me he got the secret clearance. Worried me a little bit about that. I don't just they get the chance to see a lot of our stuff. I hope you weren't looking in too many places. So thank you, Jorawar. Our next speaker, Jaspreet Kaur. Jaspreet, wonderful speaker, a great mentor to many of our kids in the Gurdwaras and many other places as well. So Jaspreet.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and joining us this evening. I would like to discuss the topic of Sikh youth involvement in schools, universities, colleges, and in local public schools. As a representative of the Sikh Student Association at George Mason University, I feel that I see an immediate need of spreading the Sikh awareness and Sikh identity in local areas. I believe the initiative should start in schools where the future generations are building their ideologies. As more and more Sikhs are becoming involved in their communities, it is necessary to dissipate mistaken identity issues and establish a basis of Sikh identity. in the public. And in the hopes to do so, the Sikh Student Association has come together with the George Mason University leaders and has started a Sikh Awareness Week, where a week long will be held with events, Monday through Friday of events, basically letting the community know of who Sikhs are, what has happened in our history, and what we feel like should be happening to us in the future. An initiative should be taken nationally, especially due to the backlash we have been facing in the community at large. We have been, with all the shootings that have been happening, examples as the Wisconsin Gurdjieff shooting and the racist attacks on Sikh individuals in New York, California, and Illinois. As the crimes take place, we as a youth are capable enough to address these problems. We need your help as elected officials to educate, communicate, and spread awareness to the arising issues. In the future, I would like to see my fellow Sikh brothers and sisters holding elected positions nationally and locally. This happens through educating the general public, especially the youth, who will be running and also voting for these positions in the future as well. I hope to work with the members in the Sikh Congressional Caucus to create a better future for everyone, not just Sikhs. I will do my part in spreading awareness and dissipating mistaken identities, as well as other Sikh youth. But now we need your support politically. I appreciate you all listening and taking time to understand what we need and what we want for the future. And I hope initiatives are taken after this event. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasdeep. Jasdeep is, of course, at University of right here in Mason. I got it wrong again. The correct is George Mason University. So, Jasdeep, thank you for speaking up as well. We are waiting for one other congressman, but I know many of you guys have been here all day working on the Hill like you do every day. So, if you haven't had a chance to get some food, please do so before perhaps they have another meeting early in the morning here in this room. So, for that reason, they've asked us to kind of cut it close and short in timing. So if many of you might be leaving, so we really want to thank you for coming, those who may be leaving, and thank you for all what you do. I know we knock on your doors all the time, and it's tough. Many, just as she talked about being able to work on the Hill, that you're the first face we see, and it's so important for us to be able to work with you, and things get done when your staff gets everything done with us. So we really want to thank you, and I hope we can do this event more often. I hope the food was good for many of you, and I know that many people, I was talking to a young man here, he came from Berkeley, or Congressman Lee's office, and you don't realize how good the food is when you don't have it. So I hope you, for those who may not eat Indian food all the time, so it's wonderful to have you, to share this meal with you, and we do look forward to working with you as much as we can on the Hill as well. So thank you very much. And as I've mentioned, if you have to go, not a problem at all, but thank you for coming.